Jesus Christ, life-changing teachings from the Bible. In the quiet moments of your life, when the noise of the world fades away and you're left alone with your thoughts, there comes a question that every human soul must face. It's a question that transcends time, culture, and circumstance. A question that is echoed through the ages, whispered in the hearts of seekers, philosophers, and ordinary people alike. How do we live a life that truly matters? How do we find peace in a world of chaos? How do we love when we've been hurt? How do we forgive when we've been wronged? How do we become the person we were meant to be? These are not new questions. They are as ancient as humanity itself. And yet, 2,000 years ago, a teacher spoke words that would echo through eternity. Words so profound, so revolutionary, that they have transformed billions of lives. Words that hold the power to transform your life right now, in this very moment. This is not just another lecture on ancient scripture. This is not a historical recitation of religious text. What you are about to hear are teachings that have the power to shift your entire consciousness, to rewire the way you see yourself, others, and the world around you. The teacher who spoke these words stood on a mountainside, surrounded by people just like you. People who were searching, people who were hurting, people who were hungry for something real, something true, something that could actually change their lives. His name was Jesus Christ, and the words he spoke that day became known as the greatest sermon ever delivered. The Sermon on the Mount. A teaching so powerful that it has influenced the course of human history, shaped the foundations of Western civilization, and continues to offer guidance to seekers of truth across every culture and belief system. But here's what makes these teachings truly remarkable. They weren't spoken to religious leaders or political elites. They weren't reserved for the educated or the wealthy. They were spoken to ordinary people. Fishermen and farmers, tax collectors and sinners, the broken and the hopeful, the lost and the searching, people exactly like us. Jesus looked at the crowd gathered before him, and he saw their pain. He saw their struggles. He saw their doubts and their fears. He saw their desperate need for something more. And then he opened his mouth and spoke words that would change everything. These weren't just moral guidelines or religious rules. These were keys to unlock a completely different way of being, a radical reimagining of what it means to be human, a blueprint for living from a higher consciousness, a deeper wisdom, a more authentic place of power. What you're about to hear may challenge everything you thought you knew. It may seem counterintuitive. It may even seem impossible. Because these teachings don't just ask you to do better or try harder. They invite you into a complete transformation of your inner world. Jesus taught that true change doesn't happen from the outside in. It happens from the inside out. He taught that the kingdom of heaven is not some distant place you go to when you die. It's a state of consciousness you can enter right here, right now, in this present moment. He taught that your external circumstances don't determine your inner peace. Your inner state determines how you experience your external circumstances. He taught that you are not a victim of the world around you. You are a co-creator with divine power flowing through you. He taught that love is not just a feeling. It's a force, a power, a frequency that has the ability to transform everything it touches. As we journey through these teachings together, I want you to do something important. Don't just listen with your mind. Listen with your heart. Listen with your soul. Allow these ancient words to penetrate beyond your intellectual understanding and touch the deepest parts of who you are. Because here's the truth that Jesus understood so profoundly. You already have everything you need within you. You already possess the divine spark. You already carry the light. These teachings are not about adding something to you that you lack. They're about awakening what has always been there, waiting to be recognized. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed. You need to be awakened. You need to be reminded of who you truly are. And that's exactly what these teachings do. They wake you up. They strip away the layers of conditioning, the false beliefs, the limiting stories you've been telling yourself. They reveal the truth of your being, the magnificence of your soul, the power that lies dormant within you. So, as we begin, I invite you to create a sacred space within yourself. Take a deep breath. Release the tension in your body. Let go of your worries for just this moment. Open your heart. Open your mind. Open yourself to receive. What you are about to hear are not just the words of a teacher from 2,000 years ago. They are living words, active words, words that carry energy and vibration, words that have the power to heal, to transform, to liberate. These are the teachings of Jesus Christ, the wisdom that has guided humanity through its darkest nights and its brightest dawns, the path that leads from fear to love, from judgment to compassion, from separation to unity, from suffering to peace. This is the ancient path to inner peace, the timeless wisdom for modern life, the teachings that will change everything if you allow them to sink deep into your soul. So let us begin this journey together. Let us walk the path that Jesus walked. Let us discover the truths that he revealed. Let us awaken to the reality of who we truly are and who we are meant to become. When Jesus saw the multitudes gathering around him, he ascended the mountain and sat down. His disciples came to him, and the people pressed in close, eager to hear what this teacher had to say. And then he opened his mouth and began to teach them in a way they had never heard before. He didn't start with rules. He didn't start with commandments. He didn't start with threats of punishment or promises of reward. Instead, he began with something far more radical. He began by redefining what it means to be blessed, what it means to be truly fortunate, what it means to live in alignment with the highest truth. And what he said turned the world's understanding completely upside down. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Think about this for a moment. The poor in spirit, not the spiritually arrogant, not those who think they have all the answers, not those who walk around proclaiming their own righteousness, but the poor in spirit, those who recognize their need, those who understand that they don't have it all figured out, those who come before the divine with empty hands and open hearts. This is where true transformation begins, not in your strength, but in your surrender, not in your certainty, but in your humility, not in pretending you're already perfect, but in acknowledging that you're still becoming. The kingdom of heaven belongs to those who recognize that they need it. It belongs to those who understand that their own understanding is limited. It belongs to those who are willing to be taught, to be changed, to be transformed from the inside out. When you come to the end of yourself, when you realize that all your striving and struggling hasn't brought you the peace you're seeking, when you finally release the illusion that you can do it all on your own, that's when the door to the kingdom opens. That's when grace can flow in. That's when transformation becomes possible. The poor in spirit are not weak. They are wise enough to know that true strength comes from connection to something greater than themselves. Then Jesus said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." At first glance, this seems strange. How can mourning be a blessing? How can grief be a gift? But Jesus understood something profound about the human experience. He understood that the ability to mourn is actually the ability to love deeply, to feel deeply, to care deeply. Those who mourn are those who have allowed their hearts to remain open. They haven't numbed themselves to pain. They haven't built walls to keep out the hurt. They've remained vulnerable, tender, alive to the full spectrum of human emotion. And in that morning, in that willingness to feel the depths of loss and sadness, something sacred happens. The heart breaks open, and through that crack, divine light pours in. Comfort comes not from avoiding pain, but from allowing it to transform you. Every loss you've experienced, every heartbreak you've endured, every disappointment you've faced has the potential to deepen you, to soften you, to make you more compassionate, more understanding, more human. The mourning you've walked through hasn't destroyed you. It's refined you. It's made you capable of a deeper joy, a richer love, a more profound connection to life itself. Those who mourn shall be comforted, not because their pain will be erased, but because they will discover that even in the darkest valley they are not alone. The divine presence walks with them, holds them, sustains them, and eventually brings them through to the other side, transformed by their journey through the shadows. Jesus continued, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." The meek. In our modern world, we've mistaken meekness for weakness. We've confused gentleness with powerlessness. We've believed the lie that you have to be loud, aggressive, dominating to get ahead in life. But Jesus taught something radically different. Meekness is not weakness. Meekness is strength under control. It's power that doesn't need to prove itself. It's confidence that doesn't need to dominate. It's inner peace that remains steady regardless of external circumstances. The meek are those who have learned to master themselves. They don't react impulsively. They don't lash out in anger. They don't seek revenge. They don't need to win every argument or prove everyone wrong. They've found their security in something deeper than ego, something more stable than the opinions of others. And because of this inner mastery, because of this gentle strength, they inherit the earth. Not through force, but through influence. Not through domination, but through inspiration. Not through taking, but through receiving what naturally flows to those who walk in wisdom. Think about the greatest leaders in history. The ones who truly changed the world weren't the tyrants and the conquerors, though they made a lot of noise for a time. The ones who left a lasting legacy were those who led with compassion, who served with humility, who influenced through love rather than fear. The meek inherit the earth because they understand that true power flows from within, and they've learned to channel that power with wisdom and grace. Then Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled." Notice the intensity of this language. Not those who casually desire righteousness, not those who think it might be nice to be a little bit better, but those who hunger and thirst for it, those who pursue it with the same desperation that a starving person pursues food, that a person dying of thirst pursues water. This is about a deep, consuming desire to live rightly, to be aligned with truth, to walk in integrity, to embody love. Not because you're trying to earn something or prove something, but because you cannot imagine living any other way. When you hunger and thirst for righteousness, you're not satisfied with superficial spirituality. You're not content with religious performance. You're not willing to settle for appearances while your heart remains unchanged. You want the real thing. You want authentic transformation. You want to become, in the depths of your being, the person you were created to be. And Jesus promises that this hunger will be satisfied. Not all at once, perhaps, not overnight, but progressively, steadily, surely. As you continue to seek, you will find. As you continue to knock, doors will open. As you continue to pursue truth with all your heart, you will be filled with the very righteousness you seek. The divine doesn't withhold from those who genuinely hunger. The universe doesn't deny those who sincerely seek. The door is always open to those who are willing to walk through it. Jesus continued, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy." Here we encounter one of the fundamental laws of the spiritual universe. What you give is what you receive. How you treat others is how you will be treated. The mercy you extend comes back to you multiplied. But mercy is not about being a doormat. It's not about letting people walk all over you. Mercy is about recognizing that every person you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. It's about understanding that hurt people hurt people. It's about choosing compassion over judgment, understanding over condemnation, forgiveness over revenge. When someone wrongs you, you have a choice. You can hold on to your anger, nurse your resentment, plot your revenge. Or you can choose mercy. You can recognize that the person who hurt you is themselves hurting. You can release them from your judgment and free yourself from the prison of bitterness. Mercy doesn't mean there are no consequences. It doesn't mean you allow abuse to continue. It means you don't allow the actions of others to poison your own heart. It means you refuse to become bitter, vengeful, or consumed by hatred. It means you maintain your own inner peace, regardless of what others have done. And when you live this way, when you extend mercy freely, you create a world where mercy flows back to you. Because the truth is, you need mercy too. Every single day, you fall short of your own ideals. Every day, you make mistakes, miss the mark, fail to be the person you want to be. And in those moments, you desperately need the mercy you've been extending to others. Then Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." The pure in heart. Not the perfect in action, but the pure in heart. Not those who never make mistakes, but those whose intentions are sincere. Not those who have achieved some impossible standard, but those who approach life with honesty, authenticity, and genuine desire for truth. Purity of heart is about single-minded devotion. It's about removing the double-mindedness that plagues so many of us. It's about aligning your inner world with your outer expression. It's about integrity, wholeness, authenticity. When your heart is pure, when your motives are sincere, when you're not trying to manipulate or deceive or use others for your own gain, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see clearly. The fog lifts, the confusion dissipates. You start to perceive reality as it actually is, not as your ego wants it to be. And in that clarity, you see God, not necessarily as a being somewhere in the sky, but as the divine presence that permeates all of reality. You see the sacred in the ordinary. You recognize the holy in the mundane. You perceive the eternal in the temporal. You encounter the infinite in every moment of finite existence. The pure in heart see God because they're no longer looking through the distorted lens of ego, fear, and self-deception. They see with the eyes of truth, and everywhere they look, they recognize the divine. Jesus continued, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God." Notice he didn't say, "Blessed are the peace lovers." Everyone loves peace when it suits them. He said, "Blessed are the peacemakers," those who actively create peace, those who step into conflict and bring reconciliation, those who build bridges instead of walls. Peacemaking is hard work. It requires courage to stand in the gap between opposing sides. It requires wisdom to find solutions that honor everyone's humanity. It requires patience to stay present when everything in you wants to walk away. It requires love to remain open-hearted when everyone around you is closed off and defensive. But those who do this work, those who create peace in their families, their communities, their world, they reflect the very nature of God. Because God is the ultimate peacemaker, always working to reconcile, to restore, to bring harmony out of chaos. When you become a peacemaker, you participate in the divine work of restoration. You become a channel through which healing flows. You become an instrument of reconciliation in a world torn apart by division. And in doing so, you reveal your true identity as a child of God, bearing the family resemblance, doing the family business. Finally, Jesus said, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you, and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." This is perhaps the most challenging of all the Beatitudes. How can persecution be a blessing? How can suffering for doing what's right be something to rejoice about? But Jesus understood something crucial. When you start living according to these higher principles, when you begin walking in truth and love and authenticity, you will inevitably encounter resistance. The world is not always kind to those who shine light in dark places. People who are comfortable with their own deception often attack those who speak truth. Those who profit from injustice will oppose those who stand for righteousness. But persecution for righteousness' sake is actually a sign that you're on the right path. It means you're making a difference. It means your life is having an impact. It means the forces of darkness recognize you as a threat to their dominion. And in that persecution, paradoxically, you find the kingdom, because you discover that your peace doesn't depend on the approval of others. Your joy doesn't come from external circumstances. Your security isn't based on whether people like you or not. You've found something deeper, something eternal, something that cannot be taken away no matter what anyone does to you. This is the revolutionary teaching of Jesus. This is the path to awakening. This is how you enter the kingdom of heaven, not someday in the future, but right now, in this present moment, by embracing poverty of spirit, by allowing yourself to mourn, by cultivating meekness, by hungering for righteousness, by extending mercy, by purifying your heart, by making peace, and by standing firm in truth, regardless of the cost. These are not just beautiful ideas, they are transformative practices. They are keys to unlock a completely different way of being in the world. And as you begin to live according to these principles, you will discover that everything changes. Not your circumstances necessarily, but your experience of your circumstances. Not the world around you, perhaps, but your perception of that world. Not others, but yourself. And that changes everything. After revealing these profound truths about who is truly blessed, Jesus looked at the people gathered before him and said something that would change how they saw themselves forever. He said, "You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world." Think about the weight of these words. Not "you should try to become salt." Not "you might one day be light." But you are. Right now, in this moment, regardless of how you feel about yourself, regardless of your past mistakes, regardless of your current struggles, you are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Jesus didn't say this to the religious elite. He didn't reserve these words for the spiritually advanced. He spoke them to ordinary people, broken people, struggling people, people who probably didn't feel very salty or very bright. And yet, he declared their true nature. He revealed their divine identity. He spoke into existence what was already true about them, even if they couldn't see it yet. You are the salt of the earth. In the ancient world, salt was precious. It preserved food, it enhanced flavor, it purified, it healed. A little bit of salt could transform an entire meal. Its value was so great that Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt, which is where we get the word salary. When Jesus calls you salt, he's saying that your presence in this world matters. Your life has preserving power. Your words have the ability to enhance and bring out the best in others. Your influence can purify and heal. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You just have to be who you truly are. because a little bit of authentic salt goes a long way. But then Jesus adds a warning. If salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. This is a crucial truth. You can lose your saltiness. You can lose your distinctive flavor. You can become so mixed with the world around you, so diluted by conformity, so compromised by fear of what others think, that you lose the very thing that makes you valuable. When you stop being authentically yourself, when you hide your light to fit in, when you dilute your truth to be accepted, you lose your saltiness. And salt that has lost its saltiness is useless. It can't preserve. It can't flavor. It can't heal. It's just bland, ineffective, pointless. But here's the beautiful paradox. The way to maintain your saltiness is not by trying harder to be salty. It's by staying connected to the source of your salt. It's by remaining true to who you really are. It's by refusing to compromise your integrity for the approval of others. It's by letting your authentic self shine through, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's costly, even when others don't understand. Then Jesus says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. You are not called to be a candle flickering in a closet. You are meant to be a city on a hill, visible, unmistakable, illuminating everything around you. Light has a simple purpose. It reveals. It exposes what's hidden in darkness. It shows the way forward. It makes clear what was previously obscured, and that's exactly what your life is meant to do. When you live in truth, when you walk in integrity, when you embody love, you reveal reality as it actually is. You expose the lies that people have been believing. You show a better way forward. You illuminate possibilities that others couldn't see in their darkness. But notice what Jesus warns against. Don't hide your light under a bowl. Don't diminish yourself to make others comfortable. Don't play small because you're afraid of standing out. Don't apologize for shining because someone else chooses to remain in darkness. How many people go through life hiding their light? They have gifts, talents, insights, wisdom to share, but they keep it concealed. Why? Because they're afraid of being criticized, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of making others uncomfortable, afraid of their own power. But when you hide your light, you don't just rob yourself. You rob everyone who could have benefited from your illumination. You deprive the world of the very gift it needs from you. You leave people stumbling in darkness when you have the ability to help them see. Jesus says, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." This is important. You don't shine your light to draw attention to yourself. You don't let your light shine so people will praise you, admire you, put you on a pedestal. You let your light shine so that others will recognize the source of all light, so that they'll be drawn not to you, but to the divine presence working through you. True light always points beyond itself. A lamp doesn't say, "Look at me, I'm so bright." It says, "Look, now you can see." Real spiritual illumination isn't about building your own kingdom. It's about revealing the kingdom of heaven that's already present, already available, already here. Your good works, your acts of love, your demonstrations of compassion, your words of truth, they're not meant to make you look good. They're meant to make the goodness of God visible in a world that desperately needs to see it. Then Jesus makes a statement that confuses many people. He says, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." What does this mean? Is Jesus saying that everyone needs to follow every ancient religious law? Is he contradicting his message of grace with a message of rigid rule-keeping? No. Jesus is revealing something much deeper. He's saying that there's a spirit behind every law, a purpose behind every principle, a truth being pointed to by every teaching. And he came not to destroy those truths, but to reveal their fullest expression. The law was never meant to be a burden. It was meant to be a blessing. It was meant to show people how to live in harmony with reality, how to align with the way things actually work, how to flourish as human beings. But over time, people focused on the letter of the law and missed the spirit. They became so obsessed with following rules that they forgot why the rules existed in the first place. They turned sacred principles into rigid regulations. They made relationship with God into a checklist of do's and don'ts. Jesus came to cut through all of that, to show what the law was always pointing toward: love, mercy, justice, compassion, transformation of the heart. He came to fulfill the law by embodying its true essence, by demonstrating what it looks like when these principles are lived out in flesh and blood. He says, "Until heaven and earth pass away, not an iota, not a dot, will pass from the law until all is accomplished." Therefore, whoever relaxes one of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. This isn't about legalism, it's about integrity. It's about taking truth seriously. It's about recognizing that these principles aren't arbitrary rules handed down by a controlling deity. They're descriptions of reality. They're explanations of how things actually work. They're wisdom for navigating life successfully. When you ignore these principles, you don't break the laws. You break yourself against them. It's like ignoring the law of gravity. Gravity doesn't care whether you believe in it or not. If you step off a cliff, you will fall. The law simply describes what is. The same is true with spiritual laws. When you sow hatred, you reap conflict. When you plant deception, you harvest mistrust. When you give judgment, you receive judgment. These aren't punishments from an angry God. They're natural consequences of living out of alignment with reality. But here's where Jesus takes it even further. He says, "Unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." This would have shocked his audience. The scribes and Pharisees were the most religious people around. They meticulously kept every rule. They prayed publicly. They fasted regularly. They tithed precisely. They were the standard of religious righteousness. And Jesus says your righteousness has to exceed theirs? How is that even possible? Here's how. The scribes and Pharisees focused on external behavior. Jesus focuses on internal transformation. They cleaned the outside of the cup while leaving the inside filthy. Jesus came to purify the heart, knowing that when the heart is pure, right behavior flows naturally. The righteousness that exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees isn't about trying harder to follow more rules. It's about becoming a different kind of person. It's about transformation from the inside out. It's about letting love, not law, become your motivation. It's about acting from authenticity, not from obligation. When your heart is right, you don't need 1,000 rules telling you how to behave. You naturally do what's loving because you've become a loving person. You naturally speak truth because you've become truthful. You naturally show mercy because you've experienced mercy and been transformed by it. This is what it means to fulfill the law. Not to obey it out of fear or duty, but to embody its essence so completely that right living becomes your nature, not your effort. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. This is not something you have to achieve. It's something you have to accept. It's not something you become through striving. It's something you recognize as already true. It's not about adding something to yourself. It's about removing everything that hides the truth of who you already are. You were created to preserve what's good, to enhance what's beautiful, to illuminate what's true. You were designed to reveal reality, to show the way, to point toward the divine. You were made to embody the highest principles, not as a burden, but as your truest nature. The question is not whether you are salt and light. The question is whether you will let yourself be what you already are. Will you hide your light or let it shine? Will you maintain your saltiness or let it be diluted? Will you live from your authentic nature or conform to the expectations of those around you? This is your purpose. This is your calling. This is why you're here. Not to be someone else, not to copy someone else's light, not to compare your saltiness to another's, but to be fully, authentically, courageously yourself, to let your unique light shine, to offer your distinctive flavor to the world. Because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs the original you, the authentic you, the you that you were created to be before you learned to hide, to shrink, to play it safe. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Don't ever forget it. Don't ever doubt it. Don't ever apologize for it. This is your divine identity. This is your sacred purpose. This is who you truly are. Now Jesus begins to dive even deeper into what it means to live from a transformed heart. He's about to show how the external laws everyone knows are actually pointing to internal realities that most people have never considered. He's going to reveal that real transformation isn't about controlling your behavior. It's about changing your consciousness. He says, "You have heard that it was said to those of old, 'You shall not murder,' and whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says 'you fool' will be liable to the hell of fire." Wait, what? Jesus is equating anger with murder? He's saying that calling someone a fool is as serious as taking their life? This seems extreme. This seems impossible. How can inner anger be the same as outward violence? But Jesus understands something profound about how reality works. He knows that murder doesn't begin with the act. It begins with the thought. It starts with anger. It grows through contempt. It manifests in dehumanizing language. And eventually, in some cases, it culminates in violence. Every external action has an internal origin. Every behavior flows from a state of consciousness. You don't suddenly become a murderer the moment you pull the trigger. You became a murderer the moment you allowed hatred to take root in your heart and grow unchecked. Jesus is teaching you to deal with things at their root, not just at their fruit. Don't wait until your anger has grown into violence to address it. Don't wait until your contempt has destroyed a relationship to deal with it. Catch it early. Transform it at the level of consciousness before it manifests in behavior you'll regret. When you're angry with someone, you're already committing violence against them in your heart. You're already wishing them harm. You're already seeing them as less than human. You're already building a case for why they deserve punishment. The external act of violence is just the manifestation of what's already happened internally. And here's the profound truth. When you harbor anger, when you hold on to resentment, when you nurture contempt, you're not just hurting the other person. You're poisoning yourself. You're creating your own hell. Not some future place of eternal torment, but a present state of inner turmoil, bitterness, and bondage. The hell of fire Jesus speaks of isn't just some afterlife punishment. It's the burning anguish of a heart consumed by hatred. It's the torment of living in constant judgment and resentment. It's the suffering that comes from being disconnected from love, from peace, from your own humanity. Then Jesus gives incredibly practical wisdom. He says, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. This is revolutionary. In the religious system of Jesus' day, offering your gift at the altar was the most sacred thing you could do. It was your connection to God. It was how you maintained right standing with the divine. Nothing was supposed to interrupt that. But Jesus says if you're going through your religious practices, if you're doing your spiritual routines, and you suddenly remember that you've wronged someone, stop. Leave your offering. Go make it right with that person. Then come back to your spiritual practice. Why? Because your relationship with God cannot be separated from your relationships with people. You cannot be at peace with the divine while you're at war with your fellow human beings. You cannot receive love from above while withholding it from those around you. You cannot claim connection to the source of all love while refusing to reconcile with those you've hurt. This teaching demolishes the idea that spirituality is just about you and God. It reveals that true spirituality is inherently relational. How you treat others is how you treat God. How you love your neighbor is how you love the divine. There is no separation. Notice also that Jesus doesn't say, if you remember that your brother has wronged you, go confront him. He says if you remember that your brother has something against you, that you've wronged him, go be reconciled. Take responsibility. Make amends. Humble yourself. Seek restoration. This is about owning your part, not about being right or proving the other person wrong. It's about valuing relationship over ego. It's about choosing connection over pride. It's about recognizing that being in right relationship is more important than being right. Then Jesus continues with more practical wisdom. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you be put in prison. Truly I say to you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. On the surface, this seems like legal advice. Settle out of court. Don't let things escalate. But Jesus is speaking to something deeper. He's talking about the principle of resolution. When you have conflict with someone, deal with it quickly. Don't let it fester. Don't let it grow. Don't allow bitterness to take root. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to resolve. The more entrenched you become in your position, the more costly the eventual resolution. And if you refuse to reconcile, if you insist on your own way, if you demand judgment and justice rather than mercy and restoration, you create your own prison. You lock yourself into a cycle of resentment and retribution that will cost you everything. You'll pay the last penny, meaning you'll exhaust yourself emotionally, mentally, spiritually, trying to maintain your anger and prove yourself right. The prison isn't necessarily a physical place. It's the prison of an unforgiving heart. It's the bondage of holding on to grudges. It's the captivity of living in constant judgment and comparison. And you'll never be free until you've paid the full price of that choice, until you've suffered enough to finally let it go. How much better to reconcile quickly, to forgive freely, to release the need to be right, to choose peace over vindication. Jesus then addresses another commandment. You have heard that it was said, "You shall not commit adultery." But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Again, Jesus is going to the root, not just the fruit. Adultery doesn't begin with the physical act. It begins with the lustful look. It starts with the objectification. It grows through fantasy. It manifests in deception. And eventually, in some cases, it culminates in betrayal. But even if it never becomes a physical act, the heart adultery is already real. You've already broken faith in your consciousness. You've already violated trust in your inner world. You've already damaged your integrity, even if no one else knows. This isn't about Jesus being a prude or trying to control your thoughts. It's about understanding that where your attention goes, energy flows. What you feed grows. The fantasies you entertain shape your consciousness. The objects of your desire determine your direction. When you look at another person with lust, you're not seeing them as a full human being. You're reducing them to an object for your consumption. You're using them in your mind for your gratification. You're training yourself to see people as things rather than as sacred souls. And this pattern of objectification doesn't stay contained. It affects how you relate to everyone. It damages your ability to connect authentically. It corrupts your capacity for real intimacy. It turns relationship into transaction. Jesus then uses hyperbole to make his point. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body go into hell. Is Jesus literally telling you to mutilate yourself? No, he's using dramatic language to communicate the seriousness of dealing with sin at its root. He's saying, whatever it takes to maintain your integrity, do it. Whatever you need to remove from your life to stay aligned with truth, remove it. Whatever costs you your peace, your purity, your connection to the divine, it's not worth keeping. If you need to cancel your subscriptions, do it. If you need to change your social circle, do it. If you need to quit your job, do it. If you need to move to a different city, do it. Whatever is pulling you away from your highest self, whatever is corrupting your consciousness, whatever is causing you to violate your own values, cut it off. Get rid of it. Don't negotiate with it. Don't try to manage it. Eliminate it, because the hell you're avoiding isn't some future punishment. It's the present reality of living in inner conflict, of being divided against yourself, of knowing what's right but doing what's wrong, of feeling the dissonance between who you are and who you want to be. Jesus continues, "It was also said, 'Whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce.' But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of sexual immorality, makes her commit adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery." This teaching has been used and abused throughout history to trap people in terrible situations, but that's not what Jesus is doing here. He's addressing the casual way that people were discarding their commitments. In his culture, a man could divorce his wife for almost any reason, leaving her with no support, no protection, no future. Jesus is saying, when you make a covenant, when you enter into sacred commitment, take it seriously. Don't treat it lightly. Don't break your promises casually. Your word matters. Your commitments have weight. The vows you make shape your character and affect real human lives. This isn't about condemning people who've been through divorce. It's about elevating the value of commitment and integrity. It's about recognizing that your relationships are sacred and should be honored as such. Then Jesus addresses the practice of oath-taking. Again, you have heard that it was said to those of old, "You shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sworn." But I say to you, do not take an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not take an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. In Jesus' time, people had developed elaborate systems of oath-taking They would swear by heaven, by earth, by Jerusalem, by their own head. And depending on what they swore by, the oath carried different levels of binding obligation. Some oaths you really had to keep, others not so much. Jesus cuts through all of this. He says, just tell the truth. Let your yes be yes, and your no be no. Don't embellish. Don't exaggerate. Don't make elaborate promises. Just be a person whose word can be trusted. Why does he say that anything beyond a simple yes or no comes from evil? Because the need for elaborate oaths reveals that people don't trust each other. It shows that deception has become so common that you need legal mechanisms to try to enforce honesty. But when you're a person of integrity, when your character is solid, when your word is reliable, you don't need oaths. Your simple yes is enough because people know you mean it. Your no is sufficient because they trust you'll stand by it. This is about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need external constraints to be truthful. It's about developing such strong internal integrity that your word is your bond. It's about reaching a level of consciousness where lying isn't even tempting because you value truth more than any temporary advantage deception might bring. All of these teachings are pointing to the same reality. Transformation happens from the inside out. Your external behavior is simply a manifestation of your internal state. If you want to change your actions, change your consciousness. If you want to transform your life, transform your heart. Don't just manage your anger. Transform the consciousness that produces anger. Don't just control your lust. Transform the consciousness that objectifies others. Don't just keep your commitments out of obligation. Develop the consciousness that naturally honors what's sacred. Don't just tell the truth because you have to. Become the kind of person for whom truth is your default setting. This is the path of mastery. Not controlling yourself through willpower, not forcing yourself to behave through discipline, but transforming yourself so completely that right action flows naturally from who you've become. This is the righteousness that exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees. This is the kingdom of heaven made manifest in a human life. This is what it looks like when you allow divine consciousness to transform your human consciousness. This is freedom. This is peace. This is the abundant life that Jesus came to give. Now Jesus is about to say something that will challenge everything his listeners believe about justice, fairness, and how to deal with those who wrong you. He's about to reveal a power so radical, so transformative, that most people will spend their entire lives resisting it. Yet those who embrace it discover a freedom that nothing else can provide. He says, "You have heard that it was said, 'An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.' But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also." Stop for a moment and feel the revolutionary nature of this teaching. The law of retaliation, an eye for an eye, was actually progress in its time. It limited revenge. It said you can't escalate. If someone takes your eye, you can take their eye, but only their eye, not their life, not their family. Just proportional justice. But Jesus goes beyond even that. He says, don't retaliate at all. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek as well. Don't return violence for violence. Don't meet aggression with aggression. Don't play the game of revenge. This isn't about being a doormat. This isn't about allowing abuse to continue. This is about refusing to let someone else's violence control your response. This is about maintaining your power in the face of aggression. This is about being so grounded in your own center that you don't need to strike back to feel secure. When someone slaps you on the right cheek, they're trying to provoke you. They're trying to pull you into their game. They're trying to make you react, to lose your composure, to become like them. And if you strike back, they've won. Not because they've beaten you physically, but because they've succeeded in dragging you down to their level of consciousness. But when you turn the other cheek, you refuse to play. You remain in your power. You stay in your peace. You maintain your dignity. You demonstrate that their violence cannot touch your inner state. You show that you are operating from a different paradigm entirely. This is not weakness. This is the strongest possible response, because anyone can hit back. That takes no strength at all. That's just instinct. That's just reflex. But to absorb a blow and remain centered, to face aggression and maintain peace, to encounter hatred and respond with love, that requires a strength that most people never develop. Jesus continues, "And if anyone would sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who begs from you, and do not refuse the one who would borrow from you." These examples might seem strange to us, but they were powerful in Jesus' context. If someone sues you for your tunic, your inner garment, Jesus says, give them your cloak too. That's your outer garment. You're giving them everything. You're leaving yourself with nothing. If someone forces you to carry their pack for 1 mile, a reference to the Roman practice of forcing civilians into service, go 2 miles. Do more than is required. Give more than is demanded. Exceed every expectation. Why would Jesus teach this? Is he promoting servility? Is he encouraging people to be victims? No. He's revealing a profound spiritual principle. When you give freely what someone is trying to take from you by force, you reclaim your power. You transform the dynamic completely. You're no longer a victim being compelled. You're a free person choosing to give. The person who forces you to go 1 mile has power over you for that mile, but when you choose to go the 2nd mile, you're in control. You've shifted from compulsion to choice. You've moved from resentment to generosity. You've elevated the interaction from power struggle to gift. This is about living from abundance rather than scarcity. It's about operating from freedom rather than fear. It's about choosing your response rather than being controlled by circumstances. When you give to the one who asks, when you don't refuse the one who wants to borrow, you're declaring that your security doesn't come from holding on to your possessions. You're announcing that you trust in a source of supply greater than what you can clutch in your hands. You're demonstrating that generosity, not hoarding, is the path to abundance. But now Jesus takes it even further. He moves from radical non-resistance to radical love. He says, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. Love your enemies, not tolerate them, not avoid them, not even just forgive them. Love them. Actively, intentionally, genuinely love them." This might be the most difficult teaching Jesus ever gave. Everything in us resists it. Our entire biological programming is designed to identify threats and eliminate them. Our psychological conditioning teaches us to divide the world into us and them, good and bad, friend and enemy. Our cultural narratives are built on the premise that we must defeat our enemies. And Jesus says, love them. Why? How? What does this even mean? Jesus explains. He says, "For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. If you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same?" God's love is indiscriminate. The sun doesn't shine only on good people. The rain doesn't fall only on the righteous. Divine love flows to everyone without exception, without condition, without qualification. And if you want to reflect the divine nature, if you want to be children of your Father in heaven, you must love the same way. Loving those who love you is easy. That's not love. That's just reciprocity. That's just exchange. That's just self-interest dressed up in spiritual language. Anyone can do that. There's nothing transformative about it. There's nothing divine about it. It doesn't require any growth, any stretch, any transcendence of your limited self. But loving your enemies, that's something entirely different. That requires you to see beyond the surface, to look past the behavior, to recognize the humanity in even those who seem most inhuman, to understand that hurt people, to know that everyone is fighting battles you can't see, to acknowledge that in different circumstances you might be exactly where they are. Loving your enemies doesn't mean approving of their actions. It doesn't mean allowing harm to continue. It doesn't mean pretending that wrong is right. It means refusing to dehumanize them. It means declining to hate them. It means choosing to see them as lost, confused, wounded human beings rather than as monsters beyond redemption. And here's the secret. When you love your enemies, you're not primarily doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. Because hatred is poison, resentment is acid, revenge is a drug that promises satisfaction but delivers only emptiness. When you hate your enemy, you give them power over you. You allow them to occupy space in your mind. You let them control your emotional state. You become enslaved to them. But when you love your enemy, you set yourself free. You reclaim your peace. You take back your power. You refuse to let their darkness extinguish your light. You maintain your connection to the source of love, regardless of how others treat you. This is the ultimate freedom. This is the highest consciousness. This is what it means to be fully human, fully alive, fully in alignment with the divine nature. Jesus says, "Pray for those who persecute you." Don't just love them in some abstract way. Actually pray for them. Actively wish them well. Genuinely desire their good, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve the freedom that comes from releasing hatred. When you pray for your enemies, something miraculous happens. Your perspective shifts. Your heart softens. You begin to see them differently. You start to understand that they are not happy people doing happy things to hurt you. They're suffering people acting out of their own pain. And suddenly, instead of hatred, you feel compassion. Instead of revenge, you desire healing. Instead of wishing them harm, you want their liberation. This doesn't happen overnight. This isn't a one-time decision. This is a practice, a discipline, a continuous choice to return to love when everything in you wants to return to hatred. But as you practice it, as you choose it again and again, it becomes your nature. You become someone who cannot be made to hate. You become someone whose love is so strong, so rooted, so unshakable that no amount of persecution can extinguish it. You become a force for transformation in the world because you refuse to be infected by the darkness you encounter. Jesus concludes this section with a simple but profound statement. You therefore must be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Perfect. That word has caused so much confusion, so much shame, so much striving. But the word Jesus used doesn't mean flawless. It doesn't mean without mistake. It means complete, whole, mature, fully developed. Be complete in your love as God is. Complete in His. Don't love partially. Don't love selectively. Don't love conditionally. Love completely. Love inclusively. Love without limits or boundaries or exceptions. This is what it means to reflect the divine nature. Not to never make mistakes, not to achieve some impossible standard of behavioral perfection, but to love with the same wholeness, the same completeness, the same radical inclusivity that God loves with. When you love your friends and your enemies, the just and the unjust, the deserving and the undeserving, you demonstrate that your love comes from an infinite source. You prove that you're not just redistributing the love you've received, you're channeling the love that flows from the divine itself. This is the power of radical love. This is the freedom of complete forgiveness. This is what transforms you from a reactive being controlled by circumstances into a creative being who determines their own state regardless of what others do. This is the path Jesus walked. This is the consciousness he embodied. This is the invitation he extends to you. Not to be weak, not to be a victim, not to be a doormat, but to be so strong, so centered, so grounded in love that nothing can shake you, nothing can diminish you, nothing can turn you into something you're not. This is mastery. This is liberation. This is the kingdom of heaven made real in a human heart. This is the power that changes everything, starting with you. Having taught about the inner transformation required to enter the kingdom, Jesus now reveals how to actively participate in divine flow. He shows how to align yourself with the creative power of the universe. He unveils the principles of manifestation that have been hidden in plain sight all along. But first, he addresses something critical. He says, "Judge not, that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce you will be judged, and with the measure you use it will be measured to you." This is one of the most quoted and most misunderstood teachings of Jesus. Many people think Jesus is saying never discern, never evaluate, never make distinctions. But that's not what he's teaching. He's revealing a fundamental law of consciousness. Whatever you send out returns to you. The energy you project into the world comes back multiplied. The lens through which you view others becomes the lens through which you are viewed. The standard you apply to others becomes the standard applied to you. When you judge others harshly, you create a world where harsh judgment exists. You tune yourself to that frequency. You become hyper-aware of judgment, both giving it and receiving it. You live in a reality where everyone is constantly being measured and found wanting, including you. But when you extend grace, when you offer understanding, when you choose compassion over condemnation, you create a different reality. You tune yourself to a different frequency. You inhabit a world where mercy flows freely, where people are given the benefit of the doubt, where mistakes are seen as opportunities for growth rather than grounds for rejection. This isn't about being naive. It's not about pretending that wrong doesn't exist. It's about recognizing that your judgment of others reveals more about you than it does about them. It exposes what you're focused on, what you're afraid of, what you're trying to prove about yourself by putting others down. Jesus continues with a vivid illustration. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when there is the log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. This is profound psychological insight. The things that bother you most about others are often the very things you haven't dealt with in yourself. The faults you're quickest to point out in others are frequently your own unacknowledged shadows. You see clearly the small fault in another while remaining blind to the massive issue in yourself. This is called projection. You project onto others what you cannot face in yourself. You criticize in them what you fear in yourself. You judge in them what you've refused to heal in yourself. The path to clarity isn't to fix everyone else. It's to do your own inner work. Deal with your own log first. Face your own shadow. Heal your own wounds. Transform your own darkness. And then, and only then, will you have the clarity and the compassion to genuinely help another person with their growth. When you've done your own work, You don't judge. You empathize. You understand. You see yourself in their struggle because you've been there. You extend the same grace you needed when you were dealing with your own issues. But Jesus also warns against the opposite extreme. Do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. This is the balance. Don't judge, but do discern. Don't condemn, but do recognize. Not everyone is ready for every truth. Not everyone will value what you have to offer. Not everyone will appreciate the wisdom you want to share. Some people are so committed to their own way, so invested in their own narrative, so identified with their own pain, that they will reject your attempts to help. They will take the sacred truths you offer and trample them. They will turn your pearls of wisdom into weapons to attack you. This isn't about writing people off. It's about wisdom. It's about discernment. It's about recognizing that you cannot force growth on anyone. You cannot save someone who doesn't want to be saved. You cannot awaken someone who is determined to sleep. Cast your pearls where they will be valued. Share your truth with those who have ears to hear. Invest your energy where it will bear fruit. This isn't selfishness. It's stewardship. It's honoring the sacred by not exposing it to those who will desecrate it. Now Jesus shifts to one of the most powerful teachings on manifestation ever given. He says, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be opened." 3 verbs, 3 actions, 3 levels of engagement with divine reality. Ask, seek, knock. Each one represents a deeper level of participation in your own transformation and manifestation. Ask. This is the beginning. You must ask. You must desire. You must articulate what you need. So many people go through life passively wishing things were different, but never actually asking for what they want. They hope, they dream, they complain, but they don't ask. Asking is an act of faith. It's a declaration that you believe there's a source of supply. It's an acknowledgement that you don't have everything you need within yourself alone, and that's okay. It's a humble recognition that you are part of a larger reality that wants to bless you, help you, provide for you. And the promise is absolute. Everyone who asks receives. Not might receive, not sometimes receives, not receives if they're good enough. Everyone who asks receives. This is a law as reliable as gravity. When you ask with genuine desire, with open heart, with sincere need, the universe responds. But Jesus doesn't stop there. Seek. This is more active than asking. This is investigation. This is exploration. This is putting yourself in motion toward what you desire. You don't just ask for wisdom and then sit passively, waiting for it to fall from the sky. You seek it, you read, you study, you learn. You put yourself in situations where wisdom can find you. The one who seeks finds. Not might find, not occasionally finds. The one who seeks finds. This is another absolute promise. When you actively pursue truth, when you genuinely search for understanding, when you sincerely seek the kingdom, you will find it. It's inevitable. It's guaranteed. It's the way reality works. And then, knock. This is the most active of all. This is bold engagement. This is stepping up to the door and demanding entry. This is not taking no for an answer. This is persistent, determined, unwavering pursuit of what you know you need. To the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Not maybe opened, not partially opened, will be opened. Fully, completely, without resistance. Jesus then illustrates this with a simple analogy. Or, which one of you, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, we'll give him a serpent. If you then, who are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? If human parents, with all their flaws and limitations, know how to give good gifts to their children, how much more does the divine parent know how to bless you? If you, in your limited understanding, wouldn't give your child something harmful when they ask for something good, do you really think the infinite intelligence of the universe would do so? God is not a cosmic trickster trying to deceive you. The divine is not withholding from you. The universe is not playing games with you. There is a source of infinite supply that wants nothing more than to pour blessing into your life. The only question is whether you're willing to ask, to seek, to knock. But notice the condition. Jesus says his Father will give good things, not necessarily the specific thing you asked for in the exact way you imagined it, but good things, things that are truly for your highest benefit, things that will genuinely bless you, things that align with your deepest purpose. Sometimes you ask for what you think you want, and you receive what you actually need. Sometimes you seek in one direction and find treasure in another. Sometimes you knock on one door and a different door opens. But if you're genuinely aligned with divine purpose, what you receive will always be good. It will always be exactly what serves your growth, your healing, your awakening. Then Jesus gives what has become known as the Golden Rule. So, whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. This single sentence summarizes everything that came before. This is the essence of all spiritual teaching. This is the key to right relationship. This is how you align with divine flow. Do to others what you wish they would do to you, not what they have done to you, not what they deserve, not what would be fair, what you wish they would do to you. You want to be treated with kindness? Treat others with kindness. You want to be given the benefit of the doubt? Give others the benefit of the doubt. You want to be forgiven when you make mistakes? Forgive others when they make mistakes. You want to be seen, heard, valued, respected? See, hear, value, respect others. This is the law of reciprocity elevated to its highest form. You're not just treating others well because they've earned it. You're treating them well because that's who you are. You're treating them well because you're creating the kind of world you want to live in. You're treating them well because you understand that what you give is what you receive. Then Jesus speaks about the two paths. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow, and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. The wide gate is the path of least resistance. It's going along with the crowd. It's doing what everyone else does. It's following the cultural programming. It's living on autopilot. It's choosing comfort over growth. It's selecting the easy wrong over the hard right, and many travel this path. It's crowded, it's well-worn, it's familiar, but it leads to destruction. Not necessarily physical death, but death of the soul, death of potential, death of purpose, death of what you could have become. The narrow gate is different. It's the path of intentional living. It's swimming against the current. It's making choices that others don't understand. It's doing the inner work. It's facing your shadow. It's transforming your consciousness. It's becoming who you were meant to be, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's lonely, even when no one applauds. This path is hard. Jesus doesn't pretend otherwise. Transformation is difficult. Growth is painful. Change requires death to the old self. But this is the path that leads to life, real life, abundant life, life that's worth living. And few find it. Not because it's hidden, but because most people aren't willing to pay the price. They want transformation without effort. They want results without practice. They want the destination without the journey. Finally, Jesus warns about false teachers. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? So every healthy tree bears good fruit, but the diseased tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. How do you discern truth from deception? How do you distinguish authentic teachers from frauds? Not by their words, not by their credentials, not by their charisma or their popularity, by their fruits, by their results, by what their teaching actually produces in people's lives. Does it produce love or division? Does it create freedom or bondage? Does it lead to peace or anxiety? Does it result in compassion or judgment? Does it foster growth or stagnation? Does it encourage authenticity or performance? The tree is known by its fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit. If the teaching is true, it will produce good results. If the teacher is genuine, their life will demonstrate what they teach. If the path is right, those who walk it will be transformed. This is your guide. This is how you navigate the spiritual marketplace. Don't be swayed by impressive words or miraculous claims. Look at the fruit. What kind of people does this teaching produce? What kind of life does this teacher live? What kind of transformation does this path generate? And apply this standard to yourself as well. What kind of fruit is your life producing? What are the results of your choices? What is the evidence of your transformation? The fruit reveals the root. Your external life manifests your internal state. This is manifestation through divine alignment. Ask for what you need. Seek truth actively. Knock persistently. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Choose the narrow path of transformation. And produce fruit that demonstrates the reality of your connection to the divine source. This is how you co-create with the universe. This is how you participate in divine flow. This is how you manifest not just things, but the life you were created to live. As we journey deeper into these transformative teachings, we encounter a theme that runs like a golden thread through all of sacred wisdom. It's the theme of trust, of surrender, of finding your refuge in something greater than yourself, of discovering that you are held, protected, guided by a divine presence that never leaves you. The ancient psalmists knew this truth. They sang it, they prayed it, they lived it, and their words resonate across millennia, speaking to the same human needs, the same fears, the same longings that we experience today. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? These words carry a power that transcends their simplicity. They're not just poetic language. They're declarations of reality. They're statements of truth about the nature of existence and your place within it. The Lord is my light, not was my light, not might be my light someday. Is my light, right now, in this moment, light that illuminates, light that reveals, light that guides, light that dispels darkness, light that makes clear what was previously hidden. When you recognize that divine light shines within you, that you carry this illumination in your very being, fear loses its grip. Because fear thrives in darkness, fear grows in uncertainty, fear feeds on confusion, but light exposes fear for what it truly is, an illusion, a shadow, a phantom with no real substance. The Lord is my salvation. Salvation doesn't just mean being saved from something in the future. It means being delivered, being rescued, being made whole right now. It means you are not abandoned. You are not alone. You are not left to figure everything out by yourself. There is a saving presence, a rescuing power, a delivering force at work in your life. Whom shall I fear? When you truly grasp that you are held by infinite love, that you are guided by infinite wisdom, that you are sustained by infinite power, who can threaten you? What can truly harm you? Not your circumstances, not other people's opinions, not even death itself, because the eternal part of you, the divine spark within you, cannot be extinguished. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. A stronghold is a fortress, a place of safety, an unassailable refuge. You have this, not outside of you, but within you. At the core of your being there is an unshakable strength, an immovable foundation, a place that cannot be breached by any external force. Of whom shall I be afraid? The answer is no one. Not because nothing bad can happen, not because you're immune to pain or loss, but because you've found your security in something that cannot be taken from you. You've anchored yourself to something that cannot be shaken. You've connected to something that transcends all temporal circumstances. When the wicked advance against me to devour me, it is my enemies and my foes who will stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. This is not naive optimism. This is not denial of danger. This is a profound understanding of what can truly harm you and what cannot. Yes, your body can be hurt. Yes, your possessions can be taken. Yes, your reputation can be damaged. But you, the essential you, the eternal you, the true you, cannot be diminished by any external attack. When you know this, when you really know it deep in your bones, you develop a confidence that nothing can shake. Not a confidence that nothing bad will happen, but a confidence that you will be okay no matter what happens. Not a certainty that you won't face challenges, but a certainty that you have what it takes to face them. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. One thing, in a world that constantly tells you to want more, to strive for more, to accumulate more, here is someone who has reduced their desire to one thing, not wealth, not power, not fame, not comfort. One thing, to dwell in the presence of the divine, to remain in conscious connection with the source, to keep their awareness fixed on eternal beauty rather than temporal troubles. This is the secret to peace. Not getting everything you want, not solving all your problems, not eliminating all difficulties, but maintaining your connection to the divine presence regardless of what's happening around you, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord. There is a beauty in truth, a beauty in love, a beauty in the divine nature. And when you train your attention to see this beauty, when you learn to perceive the sacred in the ordinary, when you develop eyes to recognize the eternal in the temporal, everything changes. You stop being driven by fear and start being drawn by beauty. You stop being pushed by obligation and start being pulled by love. You stop trying to escape from something and start moving towards something infinitely more attractive. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Notice the promise. Not that there won't be days of trouble, but that in those days you will be kept safe. Not safe from all difficulty, but safe in the midst of difficulty. Protected in the storm, not from the storm. The divine doesn't always calm the storm around you. Sometimes the divine calms the storm within you while the external tempest rages on. Sometimes the shelter is not a change in circumstances, but a shift in consciousness. Sometimes being set high upon a rock means rising above the turbulence through elevated perspective. Hear my voice when I call, Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me. My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. This is the dialogue of the soul with its source. This is the conversation between the finite and the infinite. This is the human heart reaching out to divine reality and discovering that divine reality has been reaching back all along. My heart says of you, seek his face. There's an inner knowing, an intuitive wisdom, a deep recognition that seeking the divine is not just one option among many. It's the primary need, the fundamental hunger, the essential longing of your soul. Your face, Lord, I will seek. This is commitment. This is determination. This is resolve. Not a casual interest, but a focused pursuit. Not a hobby, but a quest. Not a side project, but the central organizing principle of your life. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper. Do not reject me or forsake me, God my Savior. Even in the pursuit, there are moments of doubt, moments when the divine seems distant, moments when you feel abandoned, and the teaching here is profound. Don't pretend those moments don't exist. Don't spiritually bypass your fear. Voice it, express it, bring it into the light. The psalmist doesn't pretend to be fine when they're not. They cry out. They express their fear of abandonment. They voice their need for reassurance. And in that honesty, in that vulnerability, they find what they're seeking. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Here is the ultimate safety net. Even if every human source of love fails you, even if those who should have protected you abandoned you, even if you were let down by everyone who should have been there, the divine will receive you. You are not an orphan. You are not abandoned. You are not left to fend for yourself. There is a love that will never fail, a presence that will never leave, a source that will never run dry. Teach me your way, Lord. Lead me in a straight path because of my oppressors. This is wisdom. In the face of opposition, the request is not to destroy the oppressors, but to be led in a straight path, to stay true, to remain aligned, to walk with integrity despite the pressure to compromise. Your enemies cannot destroy you if you stay on your path. They can only defeat you if they can get you off your path. And you stay on your path not through effort alone, but through divine guidance. Teach me, lead me, show me the way. I remain confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, not just in some afterlife, not just in eternity, in the land of the living, here, now, in this life, in your actual experience. The goodness of the divine is not reserved for some distant future. It's available right now if you have eyes to see it. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Wait. This might be the hardest teaching of all. In a world of instant gratification, in a culture of immediate results, in an age of constant stimulation, you're told to wait. But this isn't passive waiting. This isn't helpless sitting around hoping something will happen. Be strong and take heart. This is active waiting, expectant waiting, confident waiting, waiting with strength, not weakness, waiting with courage, not fear, waiting with assurance that what you're waiting for is certain to come. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. This is crucial to understand. The divine doesn't require you to have it all together before drawing near. The divine doesn't wait for you to be perfect before offering help. The divine is especially close to those who are broken, who are crushed, who are barely holding on. Your brokenness doesn't disqualify you from divine love. It positions you to receive it. Your weakness doesn't separate you from divine strength. It creates the space for divine strength to manifest. Your neediness doesn't repel divine presence. It attracts it. The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. Many troubles, Not a trouble-free life, not an easy path, not smooth sailing. Many troubles. The righteous are not exempt from difficulty. Following truth doesn't grant immunity from challenges. Walking in love doesn't prevent pain. But here's the promise. The Lord delivers from them all. Not prevents them all, delivers from them all. You will go through things, but you will come through them. You will face challenges, but you will overcome them. You will encounter darkness, but you will emerge into light. I sought the Lord, and He answered me. He delivered me from all my fears, from all fears, not some fears, not the small fears, all fears, every fear, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of loss, the fear of death, the fear of not being enough, the fear of being too much, all fears. And notice, the deliverance from fear comes not from circumstances changing, but from seeking the Lord. The external situation may remain the same, but your internal experience transforms completely. You're no longer controlled by fear, even though fear-inducing circumstances still exist. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in Him. Taste and see. This is an invitation to direct experience. Don't just hear about it. Don't just believe it intellectually. Taste it, experience it, know it for yourself. And when you do, you'll discover that the Lord is good, not just powerful, not just righteous, good, kind, loving, generous, for you. Those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. This is abundance consciousness. This is trust in divine provision. This is knowing that when you're aligned with the source, everything you truly need flows to you. Not necessarily everything you want, but everything you need. Every good thing. Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. This is the active component. Your part in the partnership. Your responsibility in the relationship. You're not passive. You're not just waiting for blessings to fall from the sky. You turn from what's harmful. You actively do what's good. You seek peace. You pursue it. This is co-creation. This is partnership with the divine. The divine provides, but you must receive. The divine guides, but you must follow. The divine empowers, but you must act. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and His ears are attentive to their cry. You are seen. You are heard. You are not invisible. You are not ignored. The infinite intelligence of the universe is aware of you, attentive to you, responsive to you. Your prayers are not thrown into a void. Your cries are not lost in space. You are known. You matter. You are cared for. The Lord will rescue His servants. No one who takes refuge in Him will be condemned. This is the final promise. This is the ultimate assurance. Take refuge in the divine, and you will not be condemned. Not because you're perfect, not because you've earned it, but because you've chosen to trust, to surrender, to take refuge in something greater than yourself. This is the path of trust. This is the way of surrender. This is how you live in divine protection. Not by controlling everything, not by figuring everything out, not by being strong enough to handle it all yourself, but by recognizing that you are held by a love that will never let you go, guided by a wisdom that will never fail you, sustained by a power that will never run out. This is the teaching. This is the truth. This is the invitation. Will you trust? Will you surrender? Will you take refuge? The choice is yours. But the promise is certain. Those who seek will find. Those who knock will have the door opened. Those who take refuge in the divine will lack no good thing. We've journeyed through profound teachings. We've explored radical truths. We've encountered wisdom that has the power to transform everything. But Jesus knows something crucial. Knowing these things is not enough. Understanding these principles intellectually changes nothing. The question is not whether you've heard these words. The question is what you will do with them. Jesus concludes his sermon with a parable that cuts to the heart of the matter. He says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father, who is in heaven." This is startling. Jesus is saying that calling him Lord is not enough. Claiming to follow him is not sufficient. Even religious activity, even spiritual experiences, even miraculous demonstrations are meaningless if they're not accompanied by actual transformation of your life. Many will say to me on that day, "Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and in your name perform many miracles?" Then I will tell them plainly, "I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers." Did you catch that? People who prophesied, who drove out demons, who performed miracles in Jesus' name, and yet he says he never knew them. How is this possible? Because they missed the point entirely. They wanted the power without the transformation. They wanted the gifts without the character. They wanted the supernatural experiences without the inner work. They wanted to look spiritual without actually becoming loving. They wanted the appearance of righteousness without the reality of a transformed heart. Jesus is saying that relationship is what matters, that knowing and being known is what counts. That actual transformation of who you are is the only thing that has real value. Everything else is just performance. Everything else is just religious theater. Everything else is just empty words. The kingdom of heaven is not entered by saying the right things. It's entered by becoming a certain kind of person, a person who embodies love, a person who demonstrates mercy, a person who extends grace, a person who pursues peace, a person whose life reflects the divine nature not through effort but through authentic transformation. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. Here is the key. Hearing is not enough. You must put into practice. You must apply. You must embody. You must live these truths, not just know them. You must become these principles, not just understand them. The wise builder doesn't just study architecture. They actually build. They don't just talk about construction. They pick up tools and work. They don't just appreciate the beauty of a solid foundation. They dig deep and lay that foundation themselves. When you put these teachings into practice, when you actually live by these principles, when you embody these truths in your daily life, you build your house on rock. You create a foundation that cannot be shaken. You establish a structure that will stand through any storm. Notice that Jesus doesn't promise there won't be storms. The rain will come. The streams will rise. The winds will blow. Life will bring challenges. Circumstances will test you. Difficulties will arise. This is inevitable. This is part of being human. But when your foundation is solid, when you've built on rock, when you've internalized these truths so deeply that they've become who you are, the storms cannot destroy you. They may batter you. They may test you. They may reveal weaknesses that need to be addressed, but they cannot topple you. They cannot demolish you. They cannot reduce you to rubble. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. The same storms, the same rain, the same wind, the same external circumstances, but a completely different outcome. Why? Because of the foundation, because of what the house was built upon, because of whether the builder took the time to dig deep and establish on rock, or whether they took the easy path and built quickly on sand. Sand is easier to build on. It requires less work, less digging, less preparation. You can get your house up faster, you can move in sooner, you can skip the hard part and get straight to the results you want, but sand doesn't hold. Sand shifts. Sand erodes. Sand provides no real foundation, and when the inevitable storms come, everything collapses. All the effort, all the construction, all the time invested, all of it comes crashing down because the foundation was faulty. This is what happens when you hear these teachings but don't practice them, when you gain knowledge but don't apply it, when you collect information but don't transform, when you appreciate the wisdom but don't embody it. You're building on sand, and eventually, inevitably, catastrophically, everything will fall apart. So, what does it mean to put these teachings into practice? What does it look like to build on rock? How do you embody these truths in your daily life? It means when anger rises in your heart, you deal with it immediately rather than letting it fester into hatred. It means when conflict arises in your relationships, you pursue reconciliation rather than nursing resentment. It means when lust tempts you to objectify another person, you choose to see them as a full human being worthy of respect. It means when someone strikes you, you refuse to retaliate. When someone takes advantage of you, you respond with generosity rather than revenge. When someone hates you, you choose to love them anyway. When someone persecutes you, you pray for them rather than cursing them. It means you judge yourself before judging others. You remove the log from your own eye before pointing out the speck in someone else's. You extend the same grace to others that you need extended to you. You treat others exactly as you wish to be treated. It means you ask when you need something. You seek when you want to find truth. You knock when you desire access. You trust that the divine will provide. You believe that what you need will come to you. You have faith that doors will open. It means you choose the narrow path, even when the wide path is easier. You walk against the current, even when everyone else is flowing with it. You stand for truth, even when lies are more convenient. You pursue righteousness, even when compromise would be more comfortable. It means you trust in divine protection, even when circumstances are threatening. You seek refuge in the eternal, even when the temporal is unstable. You remain confident in goodness, even when surrounded by evil. You wait with strength, even when you want to. Act out of fear. This is what it means to practice these teachings. This is what building on rock looks like. This is how you enter the kingdom of heaven, not as a future destination, but as a present reality. And here's what you'll discover. When you actually live this way, when you genuinely embody these truths, when you authentically practice these principles, you become a different person, not through effort, not through striving, not through trying to be good enough, but through transformation, through renewal, through the natural result of aligning with reality as it actually is. You'll find yourself responding to situations differently. You'll notice that old patterns don't control you anymore. You'll discover that triggers that used to set you off no longer have power over you. You'll realize that you're experiencing peace in circumstances that would have once destroyed your peace. You'll recognize that you're extending love to people you would have once written off. This is not about perfection. You will still make mistakes. You will still fall short. You will still have moments where you react instead of respond, where you choose fear instead of love, where you build on sand instead of rock. But the trajectory of your life will be clear. The direction of your growth will be unmistakable. The reality of your transformation will be evident, and when the storms come, and they will come, you'll stand. You'll weather them. You'll come through them. Not unscathed, perhaps, not without difficulty, certainly, but you'll remain standing. because your foundation is solid, because your house is built on rock, because you didn't just hear these words, you put them into practice. This is the invitation, this is the challenge, this is the call. These teachings have been given to you not to make you feel guilty about how far you have to go, but to show you the path to where you want to be. Not to burden you with impossible standards, but to free you into your truest nature. Not to condemn you for what you're not, but to awaken you to what you are and what you can become. You have within you everything you need to live this way. You carry the divine spark. You possess the light. You have access to infinite love, infinite wisdom, infinite power. The question is not whether these resources are available. The question is whether you will access them, whether you will tap into them, whether you will allow them to transform you. So, here is your practice. Here is your path. Here is your daily work. Take one teaching, just one, the one that spoke most powerfully to you, the one that challenged you most deeply, the one that you most need right now, and practice it, not perfectly, not flawlessly, but intentionally, consistently, persistently. If it's loving your enemies, start with one enemy, just one. Practice extending love to that one person who's wronged you. See what happens. If it's removing the log from your own eye, choose one fault you keep. Seeing in others and look for it in yourself. Do your own work. See how it changes your perspective. If it's asking and seeking and knocking, pick one thing you need and actually ask for it. Actively seek it. Persistently knock, and watch how doors open. If it's choosing the narrow path, identify one area where you've been taking the easy way and commit to the harder, better way. See how you grow. If it's trusting in divine protection, select one fear that's been controlling you and practice surrendering it. Turn it over. Take refuge. See how your experience shifts. If it's treating others as you wish to be treated, choose one relationship where you've been withholding and start giving what you wish you were receiving. Notice what transforms, one teaching, one practice, one day at a time. This is how you build on rock. This is how transformation happens. This is how the kingdom of heaven becomes real in your life. Not through grand gestures, but through small, consistent choices. Not through dramatic conversion, but through steady, persistent practice. Not through getting it all right at once, but through getting up every time you fall and choosing again. And as you practice, as you embody, as you transform, you become salt and light. You become a city on a hill. You become a demonstration of what's possible when a human life is aligned with divine truth. You become an invitation to others, a living proof that these teachings work, a walking testimony to the reality of transformation. This is who you are meant to be. This is why these teachings were given. This is the path that leads to life. Not just survival, not just existence, but abundant, overflowing, joy-filled, peace-saturated, love-drenched life. Life that's worth living. Life that makes a difference. Life that reflects the divine nature. The teachings have been given. The path has been shown. The invitation has been extended. Now it's up to you. Will you hear and practice? Will you build on rock? Will you enter by the narrow gate? Will you become what these teachings point to? The choice is yours. The power is within you. The time is now. May you have the courage to step forward. May you have the wisdom to choose well. May you have the strength to practice faithfully. May you have the grace to get up when you fall. May you have the love to persevere when it's difficult. And may you discover, as countless others have discovered across the centuries, that these are not just beautiful words. They are living truths. They are transformative principles. They are the keys to the kingdom. They are the path to the life you've always longed for. They are the way home to your truest self. This is the teaching of Jesus Christ. This is the wisdom that changes everything. This is the path that leads to life. Walk it, practice it, become it. And you will find that everything you've been searching for has been within you all along, waiting to be awakened, waiting to be recognized, waiting to be lived. May it be so. May you be blessed. May you be transformed. May you become all that you were created to be. This is the prayer. This is the hope. This is the promise. Go now and build your house on rock. The storms will come, but you will stand.